Hey guys, Nick here, and today we are going to be looking into the introduction to Season 3 and the introduction to the prison saga / governor saga, kind of, in this episode. We have just gotten off of the farm. How will the continued search for Sophia go? And how will the dynamics between the characters go as well in this particular episode? This is part 5 to What If Sophia Joined Negan. Now, with Rick, he's a completely different person. He's not shot Sophia's walker, he's not killed Shane, but he has killed both of the people from Randall's group, Dave and Tony. That's it. So, whenever Lori comforts him at the clearing, it is much more better because Rick is so much softer of a man. And as for Shane, he's pretty much gotten over his obsession with Lori, since Rick has definitely stepped up, even though he's still, soft. And he is actually in a relationship with Andrea, which I've had happen before. At least in a few stories, not that many. But speaking of relationships, Jimmy, who I've never had survive before, is still alive here, and is actually still in a relationship with Beth, because I've never really had him live before. Now, the introduction to the prison and its whereabouts and everything goes the same as you would expect, because there really ain't anything that I feel would change that, except maybe it's Rick and Shane that notice it instead of Rick and Daryl. And if Daryl did notice it with him, it'd be him trying to look for Sophia, because we know how fond Daryl was of that, and he would still be looking, because they haven't found her at the barn. Now, the plan to get in the prison and everything goes a lot better because there are far more people alive. Even though some of them haven't had true character development, there's still way more people. Now, does Herschel get his leg bit? Well, no. And I think I've had this happen before in a few stories as well. But with so many more people and everything else, Dale of which being one of them, I feel that Herschel getting bit just would not happen. So, even though Herschel got a prosthetic leg later on and still lived for another season, this will actually prolong him being in this particular timeline even longer. And you guys will be surprised on how long he lives in this story. Now, we then get the introduction of Tomas and all the prisoners, except it's a lot less dramatic, I feel, because Herschel didn't get bit, so it would be a lot less chaotic, to say the least. Now, Shane, being Shane, wants nothing more when he encounters them with the rest of the group to just end them all right then and there. But Rick, being there and being the person that he is, says that hold off. And Shane can kind of see what's coming, but kind of not. But then Rick asks Tomas, especially, if they have seen a little girl somewhere in the prison. It could have been at any time within the past, year, something like that. But Tomas says that him and everybody else haven't seen anybody since they were all told to hide out in the cafeteria, the broom closet, and basically stay there. They haven't seen anybody. And Rick pulls out his gun to signify, well, these people haven't seen Sophia, might as well end them, because that's exactly what he did with Randall. And for those of you who think that he wouldn't do this because he's soft, he did kill Dave and Tony when they turned on him. And he did kill Randall. So, yeah. But Dale says that this might be going a little bit too far. They did the same thing with Randall. We can't just kill these people because they don't know where Sophia is. They could be a great help into the continued search of her. Just because they don't know where she is doesn't mean that they can't help. And they still gotta keep some level of humanity, especially if they want to keep looking for Sophia. Rick says, alright, Dale's got a point, because Rick is much more willing to listen here. And he decides to spare them, but if they try anything, he will not hesitate to kill all of them. Or at least, the ones who do try something. Now, Shane, while being proud of this, and definitely how proud Rick has come, the whole Sophia thing, it's just, we all know how Shane felt about continued search for Sophia in the original timeline, but with it stretched out this far, yeah, Shane has no choice but to really go along with it, because, as I said, Rick still stepped up. Now, also with a bunch more people being around, that means Big Tiny would most likely not get bit here, so 2 people get saved from getting bit. Which also means that we will not see Tomas getting all crazy and Rick getting the wrong idea about him. There would be a little bit of suspicion, but without him killing Big Tiny, it would prolong the suspicion and everything about him. But that would change when Tomas doesn't throw the walker at Rick this time when the doors open, but he throws it right at Jimmy, which unfortunately kills him, because there were a lot of walkers that came out, and for Tomas doing this and not at Rick, yeah, sad to say, Jimmy might have lived a little bit longer, but he unfortunately dies here. After this, and amidst all the walkers and everything else, either before the walkers were taken out or after, Shane looks to Rick to signify that it needs to be done. Rick nods and points his gun in approval to say, yeah, he crossed a line here. He killed one of their own. And with that said, Shane doesn't need told twice and just pulls out his favorite pistol and boom, kills Tomas right then and there. Now this would be like a few minutes earlier than his original death, so it doesn't really matter. As I've said before, Tomas and Andrew, their fates are sealed. Speaking of Andrew, because of Tomas dying here, Andrew tries to retaliate, because Andrew was like the second in command, to say the least, with Tomas. But Andrew's attack doesn't really work so well, because Rick pulls out his gun and then kills him. Because as I've said before in other stories, Tomas and Andrew's fates, you can't really change those. But as for Oscar, Big Tiny, and Axel, their fates I've had in my What If Rick Spared Shane remake, and now this one you can actually do something with. And Rick says that he agrees on the side of Dale that they could definitely use at least these prisoners to continue looking for Sophia. And if they wanted to attack, they would have done so along with Tomas and Andrew. But because they haven't, they can prove to be of use, so they will help clear out a cell block to at least know that they can trust them before they fully let them help. But then they are more than welcome to help and live with that. So, it's all settled. Now, as I said, while Shane is proud of Rick for stepping up in many other degrees, the whole Sophia thing, amongst other things, really just upsets him. But without his obsession for Lori anymore, especially with Andrea, he is not going to be the crazy Shane that he was in Season 2. So, there's that. Plus, Shane really isn't the center focus of this story. He's a good key factor, but not the center focus. Now, while the rest of the group, well, basically the entirety of the group, finishes clearing out the prison, which is definitely, like I said, a lot easier, Daryl says that he's going to go around the entirety of the prison and going outwards to continue his search for Sophia, because with how hard we know Daryl looked for Sophia in the original story, if the search pressed onward, while losing some sort of hope, I feel that Daryl would never give up. Because he didn't give up for a long time looking for Rick, so it would be the same here. So, Daryl continues his search for Sophia, but not being able to find anything. But that changes when soon enough he doesn't encounter Sophia or even a clue about her, but he does encounter something he did not expect to see. A town that seemingly is in good condition. Daryl thinks to himself, can this be it? Does this town maybe have Sophia? Did Sophia maybe find this town and is living there? And is what he's thinking actually true, which we know really not to be? And is the governor going to have clues about Sophia, maybe seeing her before she encountered Negan? Or is the governor just his own problem in general? And that's where we leave things for the moment. Hope you guys enjoyed this part. Hope you guys are enjoying what if Sophia joined Negan as a whole. Definitely look forward to continuing the series, and I will see you guys next time.